everybody, this is Kerry Goulder from Kid Giddy, and I'm here today to show you how to make some 18-inch doll pants, shorts, or maybe even capris. I'm going to show you how to do it using the pants. These are some of the items that you're going to need. You're going to need some quilter's cotton, which is my preference, but you can use some other materials if you'd like. You're going to need a very thin bodkin, and you're going to need some elastic. The bodkin will be able to pull this elastic through. So to get started, we're going to place our fabric on our die. I'm just going to line up a little piece here. You're going to need 4 panels for each pair of pants, shorts, or capris that you want to make. Cutting pad on top and cutting pad on bottom. This die will work in your Big Shot Plus or Big Shot Pro machines, but not in the smaller ones. We're going to start by sewing 2 of our panels together. And we're going to sew from the top center seam down into the crotch at the very corner. We're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're also going to back stitch the beginning and the end just to secure the edges. As you're coming around the corner, go a little bit slower just so that you can take that corner nicely and not run off the road. Then back stitch again at the end. We have 2 panels made, the front side and the back side, and we're going to place those 2 sides together, and we're going to sew both side edges of the pants from the top all the way down to the bottom, 1/4 inch, and back stitch again at the top and the bottom. With our side seam sewn, we are now going to hem the bottom edge of the pants. So you want to flatten out your bottom hem. And you can press this, you can glue baste if you'd like, but I'm just going to eyeball it. The length of the pants may vary depending on your doll. We're going to make sure that you back stitch at the beginning and the end, and we're just going to give this a nice clean top stitch. We have both of our hems finished on both leg bottoms, and now we're going to sew the center seam right up here from the bottom corner up to the top in the crotch and all the way back down to the other corner. We want to make sure that we flatten our seam right here in the center, and we're going to put a pin in there just to make sure that center seam doesn't shift. When I'm doing pants and doing the center seam, I want to make sure that I start further in other than the edge so that we have a nice clean edge. Make sure you back stitch at the beginning and the end, and just work your way up and curve the fabric around right towards that center seam. Make sure you remove your pin before you get there. I like to back stitch right here in the center seam as well. Again, just to give that a little extra security. With our hems now sewn and the center crotch seam sewn, we're going to focus on the top edge of your pants, and we're going to fold a double hem here. And we want to make sure there's enough room for some elastic. So this is probably 3/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch, and we're going to double roll that. I'm going to give it a nice little crease. And then I'm going to flatten out my seams as I go all the way around. And if you want to double check to make sure that both edges are the same, as well as your center seam, you can just line them up and you can see that those 2 edges are the same distance apart. So I'm just eyeballing it, but I'm going to stick some pins in here. This is not something you want to glue baste because you're going to need that space open for your elastic. Now, if you don't want to do elastic, you can do a string if you're making sweatpants or something like that. You can, of course, use something else other than elastic. You do want to make sure that it's a non-rolling elastic, just so that it doesn't ball up into a little cord. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew, starting from back here. This is the back side of my pants, and I'm going to sew all the way around the front, and I'm going to leave a back space opening of about 1 to 2 inches. You want to give yourself a little bit of room to get that elastic through. You're going to make sure that you sew right along the inside folded edge to give yourself enough space for that elastic. Backstitch at the beginning and the end, because as you're putting that elastic in, it will put a little bit of stress on those seams, and you don't want that to start popping open further. Nice little backstitch. Just keep rolling the fabric underneath you, pulling it out a little bit so that it rolls forward. With our seam sewn all the way around the top edge of the pants, we're now going to put the elastic in. I prefer to start with a very large piece of elastic because I don't want to get that end lost all throughout the pants. So if you start with a large piece, it just makes that a lot easier. You can measure your elastic ahead of time using your doll waist just to make sure it fits that doll. It's going to be a little hard because we did flatten out our seams, so you just have to wiggle around, find it, and get it to go all the way through. We've got our elastic pulled through, and I'm going to cut the end off, and I have a little bit extra here, and I did that because I want to make sure again that it doesn't get pulled back through. But I'm going to overlap my pieces. I'm going to just kind of pull it through here so I have a little extra room. I'm going to overlap my pieces of elastic here, and then I'm going to sew them together. I'll trim it after I've sewn it together. I'm going to pin this in place because it will shift on me a little bit, and I don't want it to. So I'll pin one there, and I'll put one in on the other side too. And now you want to give your elastic a lot of backstitch loving. Just go forward and backwards quite a few times. And I like to shift my elastic side to side. So give it quite a few different rows, and then it will be really secure. After we're done, we're going to trim off the excess elastic. And we're going to tuck that back in there. And now we're going to sew that final seam right here. And we want to sew that closed. Okay, so I'm just going to start and backstitch right where I ended before. And I'm going to backstitch again right in the same area as the other time as well. And now we have a finished pair of pants. So as I mentioned before, you can adjust the length to whatever you want. You can finish all the hems differently. You can use different elastic or string to cinch the waist, and you can also add pockets. So I want to show you really quick a little trick to set your pockets. If you have two pockets sewn together already, that's just a basic sewing them right sides together, turning them inside out, and top stitching the top. You want to place one pocket down. I've already sewn this one, so that's my little trick. You stitch all the way across from one corner down around to the other, and now you want to put your other pocket right on top of it. Take that pin back out. Fold your pant piece over, and now grab your pocket, and it's in the right place. So this is an exact match to the other side. Just another little fun trick that I like to share. Once you do that, you can finish your pants any way you like, and I can't wait to see what you make. I hope you have fun.